Hey there, I'm Nancy and this is Designer Savvy. I have an awesome idea for you. My husband and I built this podium, also called a lectern, and it has saved my back. So I want to give you all a tutorial on how to build one yourselves. It's great for homeschooling, for Sunday school, for church, and just for home office use, which is what I am using it for because I'm at the computer so much. Here's the tools you need to get started. A square, a pencil, a dowel rod, a tape measure, clamps, a cordless drill, a cordless screwdriver, a trim ledge piece for the book holder of the podium, various sizes of screws. We used 1.5 inch, 1 1/4 inch, and 3 inch, various drill bits, an auger spade bit, goggles, and last but not least, your wood. You need two 3.5-foot sections of 2x4s, two 20-inch pieces of 2x4s for the adjustable sides, one 12x12 and one 16x16 inch for the double base, one 16x20 piece for the podium tabletop, and four 3x3.5 inch pieces of 2x4 for the corner braces. Here we're using a table saw to cut the wood, but you could certainly use a circular saw if that's what you have on hand. Power tools are actually easy to use. They're not difficult at all. Just make sure you have someone who is experienced show you how to use them first. We decided to let my husband build this project because he's the one that has more experience with building projects made out of wood, and I'm the one with more experience with the camera and filming. Here he just made the mark for it's approximately a 12-inch by 12-inch square piece, which will be the top of the two bottom pieces for the base of the podium. And here he is preparing the table saw to get ready for the cut. And there he is making the cut. The best advice I can give you when working with wood is wear your protective eyewear and be aware of where your hands are at all times. At this point, we are locating the center of that 12-inch by 12-inch piece of wood so we know where to put this podium stand. Keep in mind that my podium stand is customized for my height. I am 5 feet 2 inches, so you do accordingly based upon your height. Here, husband is making the marks on the wood so he will know where to cut. After he marks the wood, he uses the square, funny how that's in the shape of a triangle, but it's called a square, to make his straight lines for cutting. Keeping in mind we need two 3.5 feet pieces of the 2x4s for the stand. If you're really paying attention here, you'll notice that I said 3.5 feet, but yet the tape measure says 40 inches. That's because for me, it was 40 inches, but because I'm only 5'2" and most people are much taller than me, you'll want to add a few more inches. And again, it's customized to your height. Here he's making the final cut of that second 2x4, and now he's got both of them cut and ready to cut the 4 corner braces now. So he put his pencil mark on the table saw right at the corner edge of the 2x4, so he has a point of reference when he is actually cutting through the piece of wood. We did set the miter gauge at 45 degrees, so each of these 4 pieces will be cut at a 45-degree angle. And there we have our 4 angled pieces to be used as support for our podium stand. And here's what the pieces will look like. Next, we find the center of the 2x4s for placement of the braces. We did end up using 2-inch screws on the corner braces because the 3-inch just would have been much too long. Sometimes you just have to eyeball it and make your best judgment, and sometimes it's just trial and error. Here we're starting the pilot hole to attach the first brace to the 2x4. You want to make sure the screw barely comes through the other side, just enough to be able to attach this first brace. It's definitely a 2-person job as it takes a good bit of strength to support that 3.5 foot tall 2x4 while trying to screw in that brace. Each brace does take 2 screws for added support. Once this is finished, you will actually only see where the screws have gone in on 2 of the braces, and on the other 2 you won't see that at all because it's hidden. Now that we have attached the braces on the outer sides of each 2x4, it's now time to attach the two 2x4s together. And now you can see where we made the mark right in the center of that top layer of the base. The screws were inserted on just one side of the 2x4s, anywhere from 7 to 10 inches apart, all the way up to almost to the top of the 2x4s. You want to be sure and countersink each screw so that can be filled in with wood putty later and painted over so you'll never know that that screw is even there. Now it's time to start the pilot holes and set the screws to attach the top layer of the base to the stand of the podium, and that's where we found the center of that square. And don't worry about the pencil marks, that is going to be upside down and hidden. The second layer of the base will actually attach to that. You don't want to put the screws all the way in until you have made sure that everything is centered and level. Once they are, you can go ahead and countersink the screws. Now we're ready to add the last 2 braces, and we're going to do these a little bit differently than we did the first 2. With the first 2, you can't tell where the screws went in because we went in from the inside of the 2x4s. But now we're going to do this a little bit of an old-fashioned way, and we're going to do countersinked pilot holes using spade bits. Here's what the podium looks like so far. The purpose of the other 2 pieces of wood are for support. As you can see, the one brace is on its pointed end as we're trying to pre-drill the hole. The purpose of pre-drilling the hole is so we can countersink the screw, and it's going to go in kind of at an angle, as you can see here. Once again, using 2 screws in the side braces just like we used in the other 2 braces for added support and strength. We then turned the podium upside down and added 4 additional screws in the bottom to screw into the bottom of the braces. We have a total of 8 screws in the bottom overall so far, and now I'm going to let you take a look at what we've got. It's now time to cut another piece of wood. These are going to be our 20-inch pieces of wood for our adjustable sides. After we've cut the 2 pieces, once again, we're going to use the miter gauge, and we are going to angle the ends of these 2 pieces because that's the angle that the top part of the podium desk will sit on. Next, we're going to draw a vertical center line on each piece of wood, and the purpose of that is so we can know exactly where to put our holes to make this podium adjustable. We're going to be drilling 8 holes on each of the 20-inch pieces of 2x4s, and each hole is going to be 2 inches apart. We've used a square to draw our straight lines throughout most of this project, but you can also use a straight edge, or you can use a level to draw a straight line, whatever works best for you. Now it's time to drill the 8 holes in each piece of wood with our spade bit. The size of the dowel sticks that you're going to be using determines the size of the spade bit you're going to be using. Keep in mind that wood expands and contracts with moisture and temperature changes, so adjust your holes accordingly. Here we're securing the 2x4s together with clamps because we have to drill through the 20-inch pieces that we just cut through the 2x4s, which make up the main portion of the podium stand. This just helps stabilize the stand as we drill the final holes. Now it's time to attach the top desk part of the stand to the 2x4s, the base, and we are going to countersink these 4 screws as well. Now we're getting ready to attach the very bottom 16 by 16 inch piece to the base. I didn't just want one piece of wood for the base. I thought it would be much more attractive to have a double layer, and it also gives extra stability to the base. Again, we're adding several screws in the bottom, and we are countersinking those as well because this will be the piece that's closest to the floor. You can also put, next we added our ledge trim piece to keep things from sliding off the top of the podium. Here I'm sanding the corners. I don't like sharp 90-degree corners. I like rounded corners, especially if you ever accidentally bump into it. It's just a nicer look. Here is the finished podium in its raw form top to bottom. Such a fun project. My husband did a fantastic job, and I'm glad he did most of the work because I had a lot of fun filming. I got to be on the other end. I'm normally doing the talking, the filming, the project, and everything. So it was a nice break for me to watch him build this. Thanks so much, hubby, for saving my back. Cleanup was a snap using the leaf blower. Thanks for watching this tutorial. Hope you found it helpful. See you in the next one.